Hello, welcome to Function Focus, Lesson 5 with Miss Barrett. Today's objective is hopefully students will be able to solve systems of equations using the elimination, aka the linear combination method. So elimination and linear combination are the two names used to describe this method. Activity 1. Notes. The notes are in your email. Inside of the notes is guided practice, which is activity 2. And then activity 3 is the individual practice, which is also in your email. The individual practice will be due by Wednesday, which will be lesson 6. And do not forget to complete your IXL activities, which was graphing, solving systems by graphing and solving systems by substitution. If you're having difficulties with your IXL activities, just do your best. If you can get at least 10 questions done, even if they're wrong, make sure you are reading the explanations and you're understanding the explanations. Please do not hesitate to email me or comment on the video. So, linear combination or elimination. So let's first talk about what it means to cancel out a number or a term, what it means to eliminate it. If I have the term 4x and I want to eliminate it, okay, meaning I want it to make it 0. If I have 4x of something, and I want to get rid of it, I want to cancel it out, I want to eliminate it, I want to subtract 4x. Okay, if I have 4x, I want to subtract 4x because then now I have basically 0x, which is just 0. Okay, so now it's gone. So the goal is to have 0 of x. Here, I'm eliminating x. And I'll use the ELIM to represent what I'm eliminating. Let's look again at something else. If I want to eliminate negative 5y. So here I want to eliminate the variable y. Well, if I have negative 5y, in order to make it 0y, I have to add that 5y. So I'm basically doing the opposite of what's already there. If it was already negative, I have to add it to get rid of it. Okay. The goal when you're eliminating is to make it the outcome or to make the answer 0y or 0x. Let me do another one. 6t. If I want to eliminate 6t, well, 6 is already positive. Remember, there's no sign here. It's positive. So in order to eliminate, I have to do the opposite. I have to subtract it. 6 minus 6, or 6t minus 6t is 0t. Which is just 0. Okay. So when we're doing our steps, so we eliminated t here. When we're doing our steps, we have to decide first which variable you want to eliminate. And then you must basically do the inverse operation or the opposite operation to cancel that variable out. Okay, so looking here at our notes, okay, so linear combination, okay, we also call it elimination. So the linear combination method is also called the elimination method. I will mostly refer to this method as the elimination method. What is the goal of the elimination method? It's to first eliminate a variable to solve the system. Okay. And eliminating is like canceling out, like what I did at the top of this page. Okay. So step 1, how are we going to eliminate a variable? That's our step 1. We multiply one or both equations by a number that cancels out a variable. Okay. So let's look here. I'm going to do each step one by one on this example. Okay. So it says, step 1 says multiply one or both equations by a number that cancels out a variable. So I have two equations, 2x minus 6y equals 19. And I have negative 3x plus 2y equals 10. Now, how do you choose which variable to eliminate? So if I look at the x's, 2 and negative 3, well, 2 and 3 are not factors of each other. Like 2 is not a factor of 3, 3 is not a factor of 2. Okay. So I can make 2 and 3 the same number because they have a common multiple. So 2 times 3 is 6, and negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. So I can do that here. Or if you look at negative 6y and positive 2y, I can make this positive 2y a 6 by multiplying by 3, which means I only have to multiply or change one equation. Remember, it says multiply one or both equations by a number that cancels out the variable. So I want to cancel out this y. So I'm going to, step 1, eliminate y. Okay. And how I'm going to do that is, if I have a negative 6y right here, I need to make this 2y a positive 6y, because negative 6y plus 6y will eliminate and make it 0. So in order to make this 2y a 6y, I have to multiply this whole equation by 3, because the 3 will make this 2y a 6y. Okay. So let's do it. This first equation stays the same. 2x minus 6y equals 19. It stays the same because I don't need to change this negative 6y. Okay. Now I'm going to distribute this 3 to everything in this parenthesis. Everything in this equation has to be multiplied by 3. So 3 times negative 3x is negative 9x. 3 times 2y is positive 6y. And then 3 times 10 equals 30. Now, as you can see, I am going to be able to eliminate my y because I have negative 6y and positive 6y. When you have two of the same thing that have opposite signs, they cancel out. So step 2 says add the new equations together and solve for the remaining variable. So I eliminated y, therefore I'm going to be solving for x. So 2x, so I'm going to add them together. 2x plus negative 9 is negative 7x. Negative 6y plus 6y is 0y. They cancel out. And then 19 plus 30 equals 49. Now, you do not have to write 0y. You do not have to write 0y because 0y is just 0. So when I say negative 7x plus 0y, I'm not adding anything. So I'm just going to rewrite it as negative 7x equals 49. Now I'm going to solve for the remaining variable, which is x. So I'm going to divide by negative 7 on both sides because negative 7 and x are being multiplied. In order to get rid of the negative 7 to get x by itself, I have to divide by it on both sides. 49 divided by negative 7 is negative 7. Therefore, x equals negative 7. This is one of the coordinates in my coordinate pair, which is going to be my solution. Now, step 3 says plug that variable that you just solved for in step 2, plug it into one of the original equations. Doesn't matter which one you plug it into. You can plug it into whichever one you want. And when I plug this negative 7 in to either one of these, it's going to solve for y. So I'm going to plug it into the first one. So 2x minus 6y equals 19. 2 times negative 7, which is x, minus 6y equals 19. 2 times negative 7 is negative 14, minus 6y equals 19. All right, I want to get y by itself. I'm going to add 14 on both sides. Negative 6y equals, what is it equals 13. Yep. 33. Yep. Yes, I do check my work. So negative 6y equals 33 divided by negative 6 on both sides to get that y by itself. Y equals 33 divided by negative 6, which is negative 5.5. You are able to use a calculator here, people. Do not hesitate to use calculator if you need to. So now I have the solution, negative 7, negative 5.5. If you get a decimal, that does not mean you're wrong. Some of these answers will have decimals. Ladies and gentlemen, decimals are not your enemy. Okay. Now you have to check it. And I do realize that the check is on the other side, but I wanted to put it on this side because so you can see the whole process. So the last step is don't forget to check your answer. Once you get the hang of it, you won't need to check your answer. But for right now, while we're still learning, check your answer. And if you're ever confused or you think that you might have the wrong answer, check your answer. So how do we check our answers? We check our answer by plugging the solution into both of the equations. So I have 2 times the negative 7 minus 6 times 5.5 equals 19. Well, 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. And 6 times 5.5, negative 6 times 5.5 is, times negative 5.5 is positive 33. And negative 14 plus 33 is 19. So 19 equals 19. That is correct. So we know the solution works for our first equation. Next equation, negative 3 times negative 7 plus 2 times negative 5.5 equals 10. Well, negative 3 times negative 7 is 21. minus 2 times negative 5.5, which is negative 11 equals 10. Well, 21 minus 11 is 10. Therefore, 10 equals 10. So it is a solution. So now we're going to do those same steps on these two practice problems. Okay. Now, for the sake of space, I'm going to do these two problems on a separate sheet of paper. I would also advise you, for the sake of space, to also do these two problems on a separate sheet of paper. If you think this is enough space for you, of course, you can do them on this sheet of paper here. Now, whenever we're practicing these, I suggest that you do write out your step 1, step 2, step 3. That helps me a lot when I'm trying to remember what to do. So here we have the system negative 7x plus 2y equals negative 1, and negative 8x plus 4y equals negative 8. I need to first decide which variable to eliminate. Am I going to eliminate y or x? Well, here I see x. I have a negative 7x and negative 8x. I cannot make one of these equations the other. One of these x's the other, so that I can cancel them out. If I look at 2y and 4y, I can make a 2 a 4 by multiplying by 2. Okay. So here, y is the easiest one to eliminate because I can make 2 a 4. That's what you're trying to look for. You're trying to look for if I can make one of the numbers turn into the other one by multiplying it by another number. Now, I can multiply a 2 by a 2 to make a 4, but because I want to eliminate the number, I need to make this 2 a negative 4. Because remember, negative 4 plus 4 is going to be 0. So my goal is to eliminate y by multiplying this whole equation by whatever I need to make this 2 a negative 4, which is going to be negative 2. Because negative 2 times 2 is negative 4. Remember, the goal is to eliminate. Okay. So when I do that, I'm going to get negative 2 times negative 7x, which is 14x. And I'm going to get negative 2 times 2y, which is negative 4y. And I'm going to get negative 2 times negative 1, which is 2. So I basically distributed this negative 2 to everything in the equation. The second equation stays the same, ladies and gentlemen. I did not multiply by anything. Negative 8x plus 4y equals negative 8. Okay. Now I have to add these two together. I have to add the two new equations together in step 2. So 14x minus 8x is going to be 6x. 14 minus 8 is 6. Negative 4y plus 4y. Remember, the whole goal is to cancel this out, so that's going to be 0y. I'm not going to write that. We don't need to write 0y. And then 2 minus 8 is going to be negative 6. So this is what I get when I add my two new equations. Okay. Solving for x. Here I have 6x equals negative 6. Divide by 6 on both sides. I get x equals negative 1. So this is my x coordinate of my answer, my solution. Now I have to plug this x equals negative 1 into either of the equations. I'm going to plug it into the second one this time. Doesn't matter which one you choose. Plugging that in, I get negative 8 times negative 1 plus 4y equals negative 8. Okay, all I did was plug it in. Negative 8 times negative 1 is just positive 8. plus 4y equals negative 8. Subtract by 8 on both sides. Remember, now we're just trying to get y by itself. These two cancel out. 4y equals negative 16. Divide by 4 on both sides. You get y equals negative 4. Okay. So here I'm saying my solution is -1, -4. This is my answer. Okay. And then I would check it by plugging it in to both of these equations to make sure it works. And for the sake of time, it does work. Okay. I think you guys are knowledgeable about how to plug in. Okay. Now, there will be a situation where you have to multiply both of the equations by a number. So far in our two practice problems or 2 notes problems, we only multiply one equation by a number. Now we have to multiply both equations by whatever number it needs to be multiplied by to cancel out whatever variable you choose. So here we have 7x minus 5y equals negative 22, and 4x plus 3y equals 5. So I can't make a 4 a 7 or a 7 a 4. And I can't make a negative 5y a 3y. But I can make a 7x and a 4x become a 28 and a negative 28. 7 times 4 is 28, and 4 times 7 is 28. Or I can make a negative 5y and a 3y, both 15s, by multiplying the negative 5 by 3 and the positive 3 by 5. So you just have to look and decide what can you multiply, one or both of the equations by to cancel out a variable. Okay. So for the sake of not always using y, it would be easier to do y here because it's already a negative and a positive. But for the sake of not always using y, eliminating y, I'm going to eliminate x here. Okay. So I need to make one of these a positive 28 and one of these a negative 28. So I'm going to make this first equation a negative 28 by multiplying 7x by negative 4. And I'm going to make this 4x a positive 28 by multiplying by a positive 7. Okay. So that's going to give me negative 4 times 7x is negative 28x. Negative 4 times negative 5y is going to be positive 20y. And negative 4 times negative 22 is going to be a positive 88. Okay. Again, use your calculator if you need it. 7 times 4x is going to be a positive 28x. 7 times 3y is going to be a positive 21y. And 7 times 5 is going to be a positive 35. Okay. Remember, this time I had to multiply both of the equations by a number. It does not have to be the same number. It's whatever number you need to eliminate either variable, whatever variable you chose. I chose x here. So now I'm going to add these two. Negative 28x plus 28x is 0x. I'm not going to write it. They cancel out. Bam. That was the whole goal. Now I have 20y plus 21y is going to be 41y. And then I have 88 plus 35. Which is going to be 123. Okay. I know, big numbers. Do not be intimidated by the big numbers or the decimals. You might get big numbers sometimes. So in order to get y by itself, I divide by 41 on both sides. And 123 divided by 41 is 3. So that's my y coordinate in my answer. Now I'm going to plug in this y coordinate into either one of the original equations. So I'm going to plug it into the second one. 4 times x plus 3y equals 5. Plug that y in here. 4x plus 3 times 3 equals 5. 4x plus 3 times 3 is 9 equals 5. Subtract 9 on both sides. You get 4x is equal to 4, negative 4. Divide by 4 on both sides. You get x equals negative 1. So here we're saying my solution is negative 1, negative 1, 3. Okay. All right. And again, to check your answer, you would plug both of those, plug that solution into both of the equations and make sure it works. But for the sake of time, I don't want to do all that. Okay. Now, for your individual practice, take your time. Take your time. You have 4 problems here. Remember your steps. First, figure out which variable you want to eliminate by looking here and figuring out if you can turn any of them into the other. If you cannot, you have to multiply both equations. Add them. Add the new equations, plug the variable you solved for into one of the equations, and then find the second variable. It's the same thing you're doing every time. Every time is the same thing. Okay? Again, this is due on Wednesday. If you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to email me. Okay. And then your IXL activities are due today, Monday, by 11:59 p.m. Okay, hope everyone's staying happy and healthy. See you next time.